Crack! A sharp, dry snap of bone echoed through the crowded grand lobby, slicing through the afternoon bustle. Just 10 seconds earlier, the brazen mistress had stormed forward, her hand raised to slap the wife and assert her dominance. But before that hand could find its target, it was seized and bent back by a powerfully built security guard in a black suit. Amid a piercing shriek of agony, the worthless husband stood frozen, unable to believe that the woman he'd spent the last 3 years calling a freeloader was, in fact, the heiress to the billion-dollar corporation that held his fate in its hands. From the pinnacle of success to the abyss of a prison cell, what is the true cost of betrayal? Crack! The clean sound of breaking bone echoed off the polished marble floors of the luxurious lobby, tearing through the noisy end-of-day chatter. It was followed by the blood-curdling scream of a woman. "Ah! My arm! He broke my arm! Somebody help! It's murder!" Just 10 seconds prior, that same woman had lunged forward aggressively, her face twisted in a bizarre fit of jealousy, red-painted fingernails aiming for a fight. She intended to land a stinging slap across the elegant, ice-cold face of the woman opposite her, but her hand was stopped mid-air, caught in an iron grip before it could touch a single strand of hair. The woman under attack, Abigail Vance, remained as still as a statue. She didn't blink, didn't flinch. The jade-green silk of her dress didn't even flutter from the wind of the missed slap. She merely curled her lip into a faint smirk, a half-smile filled with contempt and pity. It was the opening moment of the collapse of the false empire her husband, Michael Hayes, had painstakingly built with her own blood, sweat, and tears. But to arrive at those fateful 10 seconds, Abigail had endured 3 long years, living under the guise of a gentle, submissive wife, so patient that people mistook her for a pushover. Let's rewind 8 hours. In Charleston, South Carolina, the late-year sun cast a honey-gold glow, and a salty breeze from the Atlantic Ocean drifted through the open windows of a waterfront mansion in the prestigious South of Broad neighborhood. Abigail stood before a mirror, adjusting her husband's shirt collar. Michael was dressed in a finely tailored gray suit, his hair slicked back with gel, projecting the image of a successful entrepreneur. He was the director of Hayes Designs, an interior design firm whose star was rising fast in the coastal city. "Abby," he said, his eyes glued to his phone as his fingers flew across the screen. "I have a crucial meeting this afternoon with the partners on the Kiowa Island Resort project. Make sure you transfer $50,000 into my account before noon. The materials supplier is pushing for the first installment." Michael's words were smooth, but he never once looked at his wife. Abigail paused for a second, her hand tightening slightly on his tie before she immediately relaxed it. She asked gently, her voice as soft as water, "Michael, just last week I pulled $30,000 from my mother's savings account for you to cover the cost of that imported lumber. Why do you need another $50,000 so soon? Didn't the client from last month's project pay their invoice yet?" Michael's brow furrowed, his relaxed expression instantly turning sour. He brushed her hand away, his voice sharp. "What do you know about it? In business, cash flow has to be constant, moving money from one place to cover another. You just stay at home playing housewife, cooking and cleaning. How could you possibly understand the pressure I'm under? Your mom gave us a few bucks and you keep bringing it up? Look at other men's wives. They'll take out million-dollar loans to help their husbands start a business without a single complaint. I'm just asking you to use our joint savings for a little while. Why are you being so stingy with your own husband?" "Joint savings?" Abigail laughed silently. It was money she had accumulated from her own secret investments, from dividends paid by her family's corporation that she had hidden from him for the past 3 years. As for Michael's salary, how much had he actually brought home in those 3 years? Barely enough to buy a few designer suits and fund his endless client dinners and drinking nights. "I'm not being stingy, but that savings account is our emergency fund for health issues and to prepare for when we have a child." Abigail deliberately emphasized the words, "have a child," closely observing her husband's reaction. A flicker of guilt crossed Michael's face, his eyes darting away, but shamelessness quickly masked his handsome features again. "Kids are a gift from God, you worry too much. And besides, it's been 3 years and your stomach is still flat." My mother calls from back home in Appalachia all the time, complaining to me about it. You should take a good look at yourself instead of using it as an excuse to hoard money. With that, he grabbed his briefcase and stormed out the door, tossing a final cold remark over his shoulder. If I don't see that money in my account by 11 a.m., don't blame me for being heartless. If this deal falls through, it's all on you. The heavy mahogany door slammed shut, plunging the vast room into silence. Abigail stood there, watching his Mercedes E-Class roll out of the gate. 70% of that car's cost had come from her money, but it was registered in his name. This house, the deed to the land, all of it was a wedding gift from her parents, but he always boasted to his friends, "I built this empire with my own 2 hands." Abigail walked to her vanity, opened a locked bottom drawer, and took out a thin file. Inside were high-quality, candid photographs. In the pictures, Michael had his arm wrapped around the waist of a young, voluptuous woman in front of a 5-star hotel on Kiowa Island. The woman, wearing a scandalously low-cut spaghetti-strap dress, was smiling flirtatiously, her hand placed provocatively on Michael's chest. Her name was Jessica Monroe. Michael's new secretary, hired just 3 months ago. $50,000 for materials, is it? Abigail murmured, her finger tracing over the photo. Or is it the down payment on that Tesla she's been demanding you buy her? Abigail didn't cry. Her tears had run dry the night she discovered their sickeningly sweet text messages a month ago. She was the daughter of the chairman of the Vance Maritime Group, a titan of the shipping and real estate industries renowned throughout the Southeast. From a young age, she had been taught that in business, as in love, whoever shows their emotions first loses. She had hidden her identity to find a sincere love, free from ulterior motives. She thought Michael was her safe harbor, but he turned out to be a gilded mousetrap of lies. The phone on the vanity buzzed insistently. The screen read, "Mother-in-law." Abigail took a deep breath, composed her voice, and answered, "Hello, Mom, it's me." On the other end, a shrill, coarse voice with a thick country accent pierced her ear. "Abigail, what are you doing? It's broad daylight and you haven't called to check on this old woman yet. I heard from Michael you're refusing to give him money for his business. Is that right? Are you trying to ruin your husband? You useless woman, can't even have a baby and now you're hoarding the money. Let me tell you, the Hayes family was cursed the day we let you in. If you don't get your act together, I'll tell Michael to get himself a second wife. See how you like that?" The words were as sharp as needles, rubbing salt in a wound. If this were the Abigail of 2 years ago, she would have cried in self-pity, then obediently transferred the money to keep the peace. But today was different. "Mom," Abigail replied, her voice disturbingly calm, "I've never hoarded money. My money is for taking care of this family. As for having children, the doctor said we're both perfectly healthy. It's just not our time yet. Please don't be so harsh." "Not your time, my foot. More like you're barren. I'm not arguing with you. You better take care of your husband. And send me an extra $1,000 this month. I need to fix the kitchen roof. It's all rotted out." "Yes, Mom, I understand." Abigail hung up. Fix the kitchen roof. Last month, she'd asked for $2,000 to fix the gate. The month before that, $1,500 for health supplements. Abigail knew perfectly well that money was going straight to her mother-in-law's bingo and lottery habits. Her patience had reached its limit. Abigail opened a banking app on a brand-new, top-of-the-line smartphone she kept hidden in a safe, not the old, worn-out iPhone she used daily. She initiated a transfer, but not for $50,000 to Michael, nor for $1,000 to her mother-in-law. She wired $200,000 to the account of a private investigator, along with a text message, "Activate Plan B. I want today to be their last day." At 10:30 a.m., Abigail drove her old Toyota Corolla to the headquarters of Hayes Designs. It was the perfect cover for her role as a frugal, devoted wife. She carried a lunchbox containing Michael's favorite gumbo and smothered pork chops. But today, this meal wasn't for nourishment. It was a final supper, a severing of ties. Hayes Designs rented an office on the first floor of a bustling commercial tower in downtown Charleston. As soon as she entered the lobby, Abigail felt the scrutinizing stares of the receptionists and security guards. They whispered to each other, "The boss's wife is here." Ugh, look how frumpy she is. No wonder the boss is bored. I heard that new secretary Jessica wore a gorgeous new dress today. She and the boss look like a perfect couple. Abigail ignored them all, her back straight, her steps graceful. She bypassed the guest elevator and walked directly into the open-plan office area, stopping before the director's office. The glass door was ajar, and flirtatious laughter spilled out. "Michael, honey, where's that designer bag you promised me? I was so good to you last night." It was Jessica's syrupy, cloying voice, like honey laced with poison. "Don't you worry, sweet cheeks. As soon as my wife transfers the money this afternoon, I'll take you straight to the store to buy it. She's an idiot. She does whatever I say." A few threats, and she's scared speechless. It was Michael's voice, full of smug laughter. Abigail stood silently outside the door. Though she had prepared herself, hearing the man she shared a bed with call her "my idiot wife" with his own mouth still sent a pang through her heart. Not out of love, but out of regret. Regret for her youth, for the sincerity she had wasted on a beast. She pushed the door open. Click. The sound made the adulterous pair inside jump. Jessica, who had been nestled comfortably in Michael's lap with her arms draped around his neck, shot up in a panic, hastily fixing her disheveled dress. But there was no fear or remorse on her heavily made-up face. Instead, she shot Abigail a defiant look, her lips curling into a sneer. Michael was more flustered. His face paled for a moment, but he quickly regained his patriarchal, arrogant demeanor. Why didn't you knock? Where are your manners?" he yelled, trying to cover his guilt. Abigail placed the lunchbox on the coffee table with a dry thud. She looked her husband straight in the eye, then glanced at Jessica. "An office is a place for work, not a cheap motel. I thought you were in an important meeting with a client." Jessica fluffed her voluminous curls, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, Abigail, you're so funny. I was just helping the boss relax before his big meeting. As his wife, you should know how to share his pressure instead of just fussing over meals all day. It's no wonder he's sick of you." Abigail turned to face Jessica. Today, the mistress was wearing a fiery red bodycon dress with a slit that ran dangerously high up her thigh. Around her neck was a delicate white gold necklace sparkling with diamonds. It was the same necklace Abigail had lost 2 weeks ago. She'd searched the entire house for it. Michael had told her she was probably just forgetful and dropped it at the market. "That's a beautiful necklace," Abigail said, her voice like ice. "But I don't think it suits your neck. A stolen item only cheapens itself when worn." Jessica's face went white, and she instinctively covered the necklace with her hand. What are you talking about? Who stole it? This was a gift from my boyfriend." "Is your boyfriend's name Michael Hayes?" Abigail shot back, her gaze as sharp as a knife. Michael slammed his hand on the desk and shot to his feet. "That's enough, Abigail. Did you come here to cause a scene? Do you want me to throw you out? Where's the money? Did you transfer it yet? Or did you just come here to nag?" Abigail looked at her despicable husband, feeling a wave of disgust rise in her throat. She pulled a file from her purse and tossed it on the desk in front of him. "Here's your money." Michael eagerly snatched it, thinking it was a wire transfer confirmation. But when he saw the bold words printed on the first page, his eyes widened in shock, his mouth hanging open, speechless. Unilateral divorce petition. And accompanying it, termination of employment as chief executive officer. What is this? Are you insane? Termination? On what authority can you fire me?" "This company is mine," Michael roared, his face turning purple with rage. Abigail crossed her arms, an aura of regal authority suddenly radiating from her, completely overshadowing Michael's phony CEO persona. "Your company? Take a closer look at the business registration and shareholder structure. 80% of the share capital belongs to V.M.G. Capital, and I, Abigail Vance, am the sole legal representative of V.M.G. Capital in South Carolina. For the past 3 years, I let you sit in that chair out of respect for our marriage. But you didn't appreciate it. You used my money to support your mistress and humiliate me. So today, I'm taking it all back." Standing beside them, Jessica felt like she'd been struck by lightning, but she was slowly piecing things together. She couldn't believe this plainly dressed woman who drove a beat-up Corolla could wield such power. She assumed Abigail was bluffing to scare them. "Michael, Don't listen to her threats. She's just some fisherman's daughter from the sticks. What does she know about shares and stakeholders? She probably printed up some fake papers to trick you. Jessica added fuel to the fire. Like a drowning man grasping at a straw, Michael clung to that hope. That's right. Abigail's family were just mid-level seafood distributors. What connection could they possibly have to VMG? Capital, $1 billion investment fund? You dare to deceive me? You want a divorce to split the assets, don't you? Let me tell you, you'll leave with nothing. The house, the car, they're all in my name. He tore the divorce papers to shreds, throwing them in Abigail's face. The white fragments fluttered down like summer snow. Abigail didn't move, her eyes looking at him as if he were a pathetic insect. Fine. If you want to play hardball, I'll play along. But not here. Abigail turned and walked out. Seeing Abigail's disdainful attitude, Jessica's blood boiled. Convinced she was adored by Michael and believing Abigail's bluff had been called, she thought the wife was running away in fear. Her inner vixen took over. She wanted to humiliate Abigail in front of all the employees to cement her position as the future Mrs. Hayes. "Stop right there, you old hag!" Jessica chased after Abigail all the way to the building's main lobby. It was lunchtime, and the lobby was packed with office workers. Jessica's shout drew the attention of hundreds of pairs of eyes. Abigail stopped and turned around. Jessica, panting, pointed a finger at Abigail's face. "Everyone, look, this is Boss Hayes's wife, old, ugly, and a pathological liar. She came to the office to start a fight, accusing me of stealing from her. Who do you think you are? You're just a broken baby maker who can't even give him a son, a leech living off your husband, and you have the nerve to lecture me?" The crowd began to murmur and gossip. Jessica's venomous words hit a nerve, playing on many people's prejudices. Michael had caught up, and seeing Jessica overpowering his wife, he didn't intervene. Instead, he stood by with his arms crossed, enjoying the show, tacitly supporting his mistress. Abigail scanned the crowd, seeing looks of pity and mocking smiles. She took a deep breath. The time for patience was over. "Who did you call a broken baby maker?" Abigail asked, her voice clear and powerful, ringing through the lobby. "And who did you say was a leech?" "I'm talking about you!" Jessica shrieked, emboldened by Michael's presence behind her. She was furious at Abigail's composure. She wanted to see Abigail cry, beg, or at least start a messy catfight like other common women, giving her an excuse to play the victim. But Abigail just stood there, poised and elegant. Jealousy and rage blinded Jessica. "You shameless witch! I'm going to slap some sense into you!" Jessica lunged, her hand swinging high, channeling all her strength into a strike aimed squarely at Abigail's face. The crowd gasped. Some covered their eyes, unable to watch. Michael smirked triumphantly. But Abigail didn't flinch. She simply snapped her fingers. From within the crowd, two towering figures moved with the speed of cheetahs. They were dressed in impeccable black suits, wearing sunglasses and professional earpieces. They were the elite security detail from the Vance Maritime Group, who had been discreetly protecting their heiress from a distance all this time. One man stepped in front of Abigail like a brick wall. The other, with a swift and brutal motion, caught Jessica's wrist just inches from Abigail's face. Crack! The security guard didn't use words. He used action. His iron hand bent Jessica's wrist backward at an impossible angle. "Ah!" Jessica's shriek ripped through the air. She collapsed to the floor, tears and snot streaming down her face, her beautiful features contorted in excruciating pain. Michael was stunned. He was rooted to the spot, the smile wiped clean from his face, replaced by sheer terror. He looked at the two massive security guards, then at his wife. Just then, a gleaming black Rolls-Royce Phantom silently pulled up to the curb. The license plate was a commanding series of 9s. A chauffeur in white gloves hurried out, opened the rear door, and bowed deeply before Abigail. "Miss Vance, the chairman is waiting for you at the main headquarters. He said it's time to clean up the mess." Abigail gave a slight nod. She stepped over Jessica, who was writhing on the ground, without a single glance. She walked up to Michael, who was trembling like a leaf. She leaned in close to his ear and whispered, her words just loud enough for him to hear, but cold enough to send a chill down his spine. You were right. A person needs to know their place, and the first thing you need to learn now is how to pay the price for your own stupidity. Welcome to hell, ex-husband. Abigail gracefully entered the luxury car. The door closed with a soft, solid thud, sealing her off from the chaotic and sordid world behind her. The car pulled away, leaving behind a broken man, a mistress with a broken arm, and a crowd of onlookers just beginning to realize they had witnessed the rise of a phoenix. The Rolls-Royce Phantom glided as smoothly as a black shark through the bustling Charleston traffic, leaving a cloud of dust and stunned gossip in its wake. Inside the car, the silence was so profound you could hear the faint hum of the air conditioning. The subtle, luxurious scent of sandalwood filled the air, a stark contrast to the cheap, overpowering perfume in Michael's office. Abigail leaned back against the plush leather seat, her eyes half closed. She didn't feel the satisfaction she had imagined. A bitter aftertaste still lingered in her chest. 3 years, 1,095 days, she had played the role of a docile, patient wife, cooking every meal, ironing every shirt, enduring the contempt of her in-laws, all for this ridiculous conclusion? Miss Vance, shall we head directly to the waterfront estate, or to the group's headquarters? The steady, deep voice of Robert, the man who had been her family's driver since she was a little girl, cut through her thoughts. Abigail opened her eyes, her gaze once again sharp and focused. She smoothed her silk dress, her voice now cold. To headquarters. I need to see Jacob Croft immediately. She paused. Robert, call the bank and have them immediately freeze all supplementary credit cards I opened for Michael Hayes. Yes, miss. Abigail gazed out the window at the Charleston harbor sparkling under the midday sun. Michael, she thought, you love money so much, do you? Then let me show you what it feels like to not have a single cent to your name. Back in the lobby of the commercial tower, the chaos had subsided, but the aftershocks lingered. Jessica had been taken away by an ambulance, its wailing siren adding a tragic note to the atmosphere. Michael stood there, his face drained of all color, his hands clenched so tightly his nails dug into his palms. The employees who once flattered him, who joined him in mocking Abigail, were now huddled in corners, whispering. The looks they gave him were no longer of fear, but of curiosity, ridicule, and even pity. Did you see that? A Rolls-Royce with a 999 plate. I googled it. That plate is registered to the chairman of the Vance Maritime Group. What? The Vance Group? You mean Abigail is… Shh! Keep your voice down. No wonder she had such a commanding presence. Turns out our boss married into royalty and was too stupid to know it, cheating on her with that little tramp. Serves him right. I've hated that Jessica for a long time, so arrogant just because the boss favored her. A broken arm is getting off easy. The whispers reached Michael's ears like tiny daggers. He roared, Get back to work! Who gave you permission to gather here? If you don't want to work, you can all resign. The employees scattered, but the disdainful sneers behind his back were unmistakable. Michael stumbled into the elevator, his mind a tangled mess. Abigail, the daughter of the chairman of the Vance Maritime Group? Impossible. He shook his head, trying to deny the glaring reality. For 3 years, she had lived so frugally, driving that old Corolla, dressing so plainly. Her mother, whom he had never even visited, was just some old woman who sold dried fish from a small town. It had to be an act. Yes, an act. She's just putting on a show, Michael muttered like a madman. She's just jealous and lost her mind. She rented the car, hired actors to play security guards just to intimidate me. No way a true heiress would slave away in a greasy kitchen for 3 years. He comforted himself with this naive and foolish thought, choosing to believe what he wanted to believe over the cruel truth. Because if Abigail truly was the daughter of a real estate tycoon, then he was the world's biggest fool. As he entered his office, his phone rang. It was Jessica, calling from the hospital. Hello? His voice was hoarse. Michael, where the hell are you? Do you have any idea how much this hurts? My arm is broken. The doctor said I need surgery, plates, and screws. You need to get here right now. You have to sue your wife. Send her to jail. She hired thugs to attack me. If you don't do something, I'll kill myself. Jessica's shrill crying made Michael's head pound. But thinking of her curvy body and sweet whispers, combined with his fury at being humiliated by Abigail, his resolve softened. Okay, calm down. I'm on my way. I won't let her get away with this. He grabbed his car keys. But as he took a few steps, his phone rang again. An unknown number. Hello, who is this? Good afternoon, Mr. Michael Hayes. I'm calling from Palmetto State Bank. We're informing you that your Platinum credit card has been permanently canceled at the request of the primary cardholder. Furthermore, your $50,000 line of credit, which was secured by Mrs. Abigail Vance, is now due in full, effective immediately, as the guarantor has withdrawn her pledge. What? Michael screamed, cutting off the bank employee. What did you say? Canceled? Withdrawn? What kind of business are you running? I'm the CEO of Hayes Designs. I'm sorry, sir. We are simply following legal protocol. If you fail to settle the outstanding principal and interest within 24 hours, we will proceed with seizing the collateral asset, which is a Mercedes E-Class sedan. Click. The phone slipped from Michael's hand. The Mercedes. That's right. The car was in his name, but the collateral used to secure the loan was Abigail's savings account. A cold dread, which had been a vague feeling moments ago, now took concrete shape. This was no act. No one could make a bank freeze his accounts with a single phone call just for show. At the Charleston General Hospital, the strong smell of antiseptic couldn't mask Jessica's simmering rage. Her right arm was encased in a white cast, held in a sling. Her pretty face was pale and smudged with makeup, her eyes swollen from crying. She lay in a VIP room she had demanded from the nurses, already plotting her revenge. She refused to believe Abigail was some blue-blooded heiress. That frumpy country mouse must have hooked up with some rich old man who lent her the fancy car to scare them. Fine, Jessica seethed. You break my arm, I'll ruin your reputation. I'll go online and expose you as a violent, jealous wife who hires gangsters to assault a helpless woman. The door burst open and Michael rushed in, drenched in sweat. Jessica, how are you? Seeing Michael, Jessica's expression instantly shifted from ferocious to victimized. Tears welled up in her eyes. Michael, she whimpered, it hurts so much. What if my arm is permanently damaged? I'm so scared. Abigail is so evil. How could she hire people to break my arm like this? Seeing his young lover injured, Michael's heart filled with a blind sympathy and the bruised ego of a man who couldn't protect his woman. He wrapped his arms around her. I know. She's lost her mind. I'll make her pay. Jessica looked up at him with teary eyes and played her trump card. Michael, there's something I haven't had a chance to tell you. What is it? Jessica took Michael's hand and placed it gently on her flat stomach. I'm 2 weeks late, she whispered. I took a test this morning. It was positive. Michael, we're having a baby. Michael was stunned. A child. He had longed for a son to carry on his family name. 3 years with Abigail, and her womb had remained silent. Now Jessica, his sexy, vibrant mistress, was carrying his child. Overwhelming joy mixed with anxiety made him tremble. He knelt by her bed, pressing his face against her stomach. Really? Are you really pregnant? Yes, and I can feel it. It's a boy, Jessica lied without blinking. In reality, she was only a few days late due to stress and hadn't seen a doctor. But in this situation, a baby real or not was her get-out-of-jail-free card, a rope to tie Michael to her for life, and the sharpest weapon against Abigail. This is wonderful. Michael's expression was a mixture of laughter and tears. My mother will be so happy. Jessica, don't worry. I'll divorce her. I'll divorce her immediately and marry you. My son cannot be born illegitimate. Jessica smirked inwardly. The fish had taken the bait. But Michael, Abigail is so powerful. She has security guards, that luxury car. What if she tries to harm me and the baby? At the mention of this, Michael's face darkened. I suspect she's running a scam. Where would she get that kind of money? She must have taken out a loan from a shark, or is sleeping with some tycoon to put on this show. She's just trying to scare me so I won't leave her. I don't believe a fisherman's daughter is some high society heiress. I'm going home to look through her things. I'll expose her for the fraud she is." "That's right, Michael." Jessica nodded enthusiastically. "Go check, and remember to get your money back. She's been holding on to everything you've earned all these years. You need to get it back to take care of our child." "Right, my money." Michael's eyes lit up. He remembered the safe at home. Inside were the house deed, their wedding jewelry, and several savings bonds. He had to get there before Abigail could hide the assets. 2 p.m. The headquarters of the Vance Maritime Group, Charleston branch. The glass skyscraper stood proudly on the waterfront, a symbol of power in the region's business world. On the top floor, in the chairman's office, the atmosphere was cold and tense. Abigail sat in the imposing leather chair, the entire Charleston skyline behind her. She had changed from her simple morning attire into an impeccably tailored ivory pantsuit that highlighted her slender, powerful frame. Her long hair was pulled into a high ponytail, revealing a face with minimal but sharp makeup. Across from her sat Jacob Croft, her childhood friend and the group's senior legal counsel. He looked at her with a mixture of sorrow and admiration. "Abigail, are you sure you want to take it this far? Freezing all his assets, cutting off his credit lines, even suing him for fraud and embezzlement?" Abigail twirled a pen, her gaze distant. "Jacob, you know me. I gave him chances, so many chances. For 3 years, I used my own money to cover his company's losses. I used my connections to get him lucrative contracts that he thought he won with his own talent. I wanted him to stand on his own 2 feet. But what did he do? He used those feet to trample all over my love and used my money to keep a mistress. I'm not doing this for revenge." Her voice grew hard. "I'm taking back what's mine. He was greedy for things that didn't belong to him, so I will take back everything, including the phony reputation he's so proud of." Jacob nodded, pushing a thick file towards her. "Here is all the evidence you need. Bank statements from the last 3 years proving 90% of the cash flow for Hayes Designs came from your personal accounts and funds linked to VMG. Purchase agreements for the house and car, though registered in his name, they have addendums proving the funds were your premarital assets or personal gifts from your parents. Just give the word, and I'll file with the court and the district attorney." "Do it," Abigail said decisively, "but take it slow. I want him to feel every blow. The sensation of watching his sandcastle crumble piece by piece will be the most painful punishment." "And Jessica Monroe?" Jacob asked. Abigail gave a humorless smile. "She's just a pawn, the kind of woman who uses her body to get ahead. I don't need to do much. Let her self-destruct. But I heard she's spreading rumors that she's pregnant." "Yes. The gossip is spreading fast through the hospital grapevine." "Pregnant?" Abigail frowned. "Verify if that pregnancy is real or fake, and if it's real, find out who the father is. I don't believe someone like Jessica would be loyal to just one man." "Understood. I'll have the investigator look into it immediately." A knock on the door. An assistant entered. "Miss Vance, Mr. Hayes is causing a disturbance at the waterfront estate. He's trying to break down the door." Abigail stood up, picking up her limited edition white crocodile designer handbag. "Time for Act 2. Jacob, come with me. Today, we're going to teach him a lesson on marriage and property law." At the waterfront mansion, Michael was frantically pounding on the door, kicking the solid iron gate. He had been there for 15 minutes, unable to get in. The fingerprint scanner had been changed. The old keypad code flashed an error message. "Open the door, Abigail. I know you're in there. Open up. This is my house. How dare you change the locks, you damn witch!" He screamed himself hoarse. Neighbors peeked out from their windows. Michael didn't care. He was in a full-blown panic. He needed to get into the house, to open the safe. Without the cash and bonds inside, he was finished. Crash! He picked up a brick, intending to smash the lock. "Stop, unless you want to be arrested for destruction of private property." A cold voice spoke from behind him. Michael spun around. The Rolls-Royce Phantom from earlier was parked silently at the curb. The 2 towering security guards flanked Abigail and Jacob as they approached. Michael stared at his wife. She was like a different person, no more frumpy house clothes, no more submissive expression. She was radiant, elegant, and so distant he felt small and dirty in comparison. "You," he stammered, "what is this? Why can't I get into my house? You changed the locks, didn't you? You're trying to steal my property." Abigail removed her sunglasses, her eyes filled with pity. "Your house, Michael? Are you having memory problems? Look closely at the name on the deed." Jacob stepped forward, holding a document with an official seal. "Mr. Hayes, I am legal counsel for Miss Abigail Vance. This is the certificate of title for this property. The sole owner is Mr. Edward Vance, chairman of the Vance Maritime Group, and my client's father. Miss Vance is listed only as the property manager. Your name has never been on this deed." Michael felt like he'd been struck by lightning. He snatched the paper, his eyes glued to the owner's name. Edward Vance. It was true. "No, that's impossible. 3 years ago you told me your parents sold land back home to buy us this house as a wedding gift. How can it still be in your father's name?" "It was a wedding gift." Abigail shrugged. "A gift for me to live in, not for you. My father always said a man with ambition buys his own home. A man who needs his wife to provide a roof over his head only deserves to be a guest. For 3 years, you've lived in my father's house, rent-free, with all utilities paid by me. What more do you want?" Michael staggered backward. The ground felt like it was crumbling beneath him. Then the car, the Mercedes, the registration is in my name. You can't deny that." He clung to this last shred of hope. Jacob smiled, the smile of a wolf cornering a lamb. "True, it's registered to you. But Mr. Hayes, do you remember where the $200,000 to purchase that car came from? From Miss Vance's account. And this," Jacob produced another document, "is a personal loan agreement you signed on the day of purchase. You said you were busy with clients and asked Miss Vance to handle the paperwork. She had you sign a few forms to finalize the bank loan. You signed without reading. In reality, it was a zero-interest personal loan contract with a term of 3 years. Today is the 3-year anniversary. Miss Vance is calling in the debt." Michael trembled, his face ashen. He remembered that day. He'd been busy texting a new girl he was trying to impress. When Abigail handed him the papers, he'd signed them without a second thought. You set me up. You planned this from the beginning. You're a venomous snake," Michael screamed, lunging at Abigail, but the security guards intercepted him, twisting his arms behind his back. "Ow! Let me go." Abigail stepped closer, looking into his bloodshot eyes, now filled with rage and despair. "I didn't set you up, Michael. I was protecting myself. My mother taught me that a person's heart is the hardest thing to predict. I hoped I would never have to use these papers. I hoped you would be a decent man, that you would love me sincerely. If you had been good, all of this would have been ours. But you chose betrayal. You chose Jessica. You chose lies. You chose to walk all over me. So now, you have to accept the consequences of your choice." She signaled the guards to release him. Michael collapsed onto the cold pavement. "There are a few of your old clothes left inside. I had someone pack them into those 2 black trash bags by the gate. You can take them. As for the safe," Abigail smirked, "it only contains my documents. The gold jewelry your mother gave me on our wedding day was fake. I knew it but kept quiet to save her face. If you want that cheap costume jewelry back, be my guest." I threw it in the bags with the rest of the trash. Hearing the words fake gold, Michael's face went gray, his family's most humiliating secret she had known all along. Seeing that aggression had failed, he switched tactics. "Abigail, you can't do this to me. We're husband and wife. I was wrong. I made a mistake." He crawled towards her, trying to grab her legs to beg, but Abigail stepped back, her white suit unstained. "Don't touch me. You're filthy." She turned and walked through the now open gate. "You have 24 hours to clear out of the office and return the Mercedes to offset your debt. Otherwise, we'll see each other in criminal court. Good luck with your mistress and your precious son." The gate slammed shut, leaving Michael stranded with 2 black trash bags of old clothes. It began to rain. Heavy drops pelted his face. He looked up at the magnificent mansion he had once proudly called his own. It now seemed as distant as a dream. His phone buzzed. It was Jessica. "Michael, did you get the money? The doctor is asking for the hospital bill. Hurry up." Michael clutched the phone, wanting to smash it, but he couldn't. He had lost his wife, his house, his car. All he had left was Jessica and the baby in her belly. That was his last lifeline, the only reason he had to believe he was still a man. He struggled to his feet, grabbed the 2 trash bags, and trudged away in the rain. A dark thought sparked in his mind. Abigail, you pushed me to this. Don't blame me for what I do next. You have money, but I will destroy your reputation. He had no idea that his next move would be to dig his own grave even deeper. The nighttime rain in Charleston grew heavier, as if trying to drown the city in a sheet of white water. In the VIP room of the hospital, the air was thick with tension. Michael sat on the cold tile floor. His designer suit was soaked, clinging to his body, rainwater mixing with tears of humiliation. He looked more pathetic than a stray dog kicked out of its home. Beside him were the 2 black trash bags containing his entire worldly possessions. On the bed, Jessica was scrolling through her phone with her good left hand, her casted right arm a stark reminder of her morning's failure. But her eyes held no remorse, only vicious calculation. Michael, are you just going to sit there and cry all night? Jessica snapped, tossing her phone onto the mattress. Look at what people are saying online. Some of your employees filmed you getting kicked out by your wife. They're all laughing at you, calling you the trash CEO. Michael looked up, his eyes bloodshot. He snatched the phone and scrolled through the venomous Facebook comments. Serves the cheating husband right. Left his loyal wife for a tramp and now he has nothing. I heard the wife is the heiress to the Vance Maritime Group. Looks like this guy is going to be homeless. Look at his pathetic face, kicked out like a dog. Each word was a knife twisting in Michael's already massive but hollow ego. He roared and threw the phone against the wall. Shut up, you ignorant fools! What do you know? The phone screen cracked but remained lit. Jessica looked at him, her eyes gleaming with a snake's cunning. She knew Michael was at rock bottom, and a cornered animal is the most dangerous. Michael, listen to me. Jessica slid off the bed and caressed his gaunt face with her good hand, her voice a seductive whisper. We can't let that witch Abigail win this easily. You've lost everything, the house, the car, the company. Are you just going to accept that? Let her walk all over you while she runs off with that pretty boy lawyer? I won't accept it. I want to kill her. Michael snarled, his hands clenched into fists. Murder gets you life in prison. Not worth it, Jessica scoffed. We have to kill her a different way. We have to kill her reputation. Think about it. She's the heiress to the Vance Group. What's she most afraid of? Scandal. Public opinion. If a major corporation gets hit with a moral scandal, their stock will plummet. Michael looked at her confused. What do you mean? Jessica leaned in close, whispering the plan she'd been concocting for hours. We play the victim. I'm pregnant. That's our strongest weapon. You go on a live stream and tell your sob story. Say Abigail is a tyrannical wife who looked down on your humble background and that she's barren, which made her pathologically jealous. Say that because of her family's power, she hired thugs to beat me until my arm was broken and I almost had a miscarriage. And you, for trying to protect your unborn child, were thrown out of your home and robbed of all your assets. But everyone knows you're the other woman. Michael hesitated. So you say we fell in love, that you and her had been separated for a long time, but she refused to sign the divorce papers just to torture you. That I came into your life when you had nothing, which is true. You have nothing right now. The internet is full of suckers. They always side with the underdog, with the pregnant woman. We just need to cry a little, maybe hire some bots to steer the conversation, and we can turn black into white. Michael hung on her every word. It made sense. Abigail was rich and powerful, while he and Jessica were now the downtrodden. People loved to see the rich and powerful fall. This was his only chance to turn the tables, to force Abigail to pay them to shut up. Okay, let's do it. I'll show her the power of social media. The next morning, at 8 a.m., a digital firestorm erupted. A 15-minute live stream video with a sensational headline, Vance Maritime Heiress uses power to hire thugs, breaks pregnant woman's arm, and throws husband out in the rain went viral, attracting millions of views in just a few hours. In the video, Michael appeared disheveled and exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes that Jessica had enhanced with makeup. He sat by her hospital bed, where she lay with a fake oxygen tube, and tearfully recounted a fabricated tragedy. "I know I was wrong to develop feelings for someone else before my divorce was final," he sobbed. "But my marriage has been a living hell for 3 years. My wife, Abigail Vance, used her wealthy background to constantly belittle me and my family. She couldn't have children, and she forbade me from having them. When she found out Jessica was pregnant with my child, she went insane." He paused to wipe a tear from Jessica's cheek. "Yesterday, she brought 2 tattooed thugs, actually security guards in suits, to my office and started destroying things. She ordered them to break Jessica's arm, even as Jessica begged them to stop, pleading that she was pregnant. Look at her arm. The bone was shattered. The doctor said we almost lost the baby. Then she went home, changed the locks, and threw my clothes out into the storm, stealing the car that was my only means of making a living." Jessica played her part perfectly, moaning in pain with tears streaming down her face. "I don't need a title. I just want my baby to be born safely. Why would Abigail be so cruel to us? She has everything. Why can't she just let us live?" The video ended with Michael begging the public for justice. The effect was explosive. The comments section was flooded with outrage. "This is pure evil. Rich and heartless. Boycott the Vance Maritime Group. Cancel that wicked wife. Even if she's a mistress, she's pregnant. Assaulting her like that is a criminal offense. Poor husband. You can tell he's a good man who was bullied by his wife. This is what happens when you marry into money." Keyboard warriors, without any fact-checking, shared the video and hurled abuse. Some even found Abigail's personal social media and bombarded her with vile messages. The Vance Maritime Group stock immediately nosedived at the market open. Business partners called non-stop, demanding an explanation. In the dingy motel room Michael had rented, he and Jessica watched the engagement numbers soar, laughing triumphantly. "See? What did I tell you?" Jessica cackled, forgetting her pain. "Abigail is finished. She'll have to get on her knees and beg us to take the video down. I'm going to demand $10 million for emotional distress." $10 million is too little. Michael's eyes gleamed with greed. $20 million. And she gives me the Mercedes back. Meanwhile, the atmosphere in the VMG boardroom was thick with tension. "Abigail, what is going on?" an elderly board member demanded. "How can your personal life be allowed to affect the company so severely? You need to issue a statement immediately, or just apologize to them and make this go away. We've lost hundreds of millions in market value already." Abigail sat at the head of the table, her expression as calm as a deep lake. She wasn't looking at the screen, replaying the fake video. She was reading a new file. Beside her, Jacob Croft was coordinating with their legal and PR teams. Everyone remained silent. No one is to speak to the press. Let them rage. The harder they rage now, the faster they'll backtrack later. Abigail closed the file and tossed it onto the table. She stood up, her gaze sweeping across the anxious board members. "Gentlemen, rest assured. I will not let this company suffer because of these parasites. I have been silent all morning, not because I am afraid, but because I was letting them finish their little play." She turned to Jacob, a cold, ruthless smile on her lips. "Jacob, schedule a press conference for 2 p.m. and send our little gift to the district attorney's office. It's time to show our hand." 2 p.m. The ballroom of Charleston's largest 5-star hotel was packed with reporters. Michael and Jessica, with Jessica in a wheelchair for added sympathy, were surrounded like celebrities. Jessica glanced at her watch, certain Abigail was about to appear and offer a groveling apology and a hefty settlement. The stage lights dimmed, then flared to life. Abigail walked out, not looking defeated as everyone expected. She wore a tailored black power suit, her hair in a sleek, high ponytail. She radiated the energy of a queen. Behind her were Jacob and another man in glasses. "Good afternoon, everyone. I am Abigail Vance," she said, her voice clear and steady. "I am not here to defend myself against cheap lies. I am here to show you the unvarnished truth." She signaled the technician. The giant LED screen behind her lit up. Video has shown. Security footage from the lobby of the office building. The 4K quality and clear audio showed Jessica storming out of the office, screaming insults at Abigail: shameless witch, broken babymaker, gold-digging leech. It clearly showed Jessica initiating the attack, lunging to slap Abigail first. The security guards only appeared at the last second to block the blow in a defensive move. A gasp went through the room. Online comments screeched to a halt. Wait, wasn't the wife supposed to be the aggressor? The mistress attacked her first. Jessica's face went pale. She had forgotten about the building's high-tech security. It's edited! She edited the video! She shrieked. Besides, I'm pregnant. You can't assault a pregnant woman. Abigail smiled faintly. Pregnant, you say? An excellent question. Document #2 appeared on the screen. A medical report from a prestigious women's hospital, signed and sealed. This is the medical file of Miss Jessica Monroe from 3 months ago. Miss Monroe underwent her 4th D&C procedure. The doctor concluded that due to multiple abortions, her uterine lining is too thin to sustain a natural pregnancy. Abigail paused. And here are the results of a blood test taken this morning from the very hospital Miss Monroe is staying in. Her HCG levels are completely normal. She is not pregnant. The positive test you showed my husband was likely purchased online, wasn't it? Michael, who had been standing behind Jessica's wheelchair, shot up. He stared at her, his eyes bulging. You're not pregnant? You lied to me. Jessica shook her head frantically. No, he's wrong. The doctors made a mistake. A mistake? It's right here in black and white, Michael roared, and in front of hundreds of cameras, he slapped Jessica hard across the face. She tumbled out of her wheelchair, her casted arm hitting the stage, sending a fresh wave of pain through her. Their united front shattered live on air. The audience was ecstatic. The plot twist. She faked a pregnancy to extort money. What a snake! The husband is an idiot. But Abigail wasn't done. Document #3 appeared. This was the kill shot. Bank statements and fraudulent invoices. For the past 3 years, Michael Hayes, as CEO of Hayes Designs, colluded with his chief accountant, who happens to be Jessica Monroe's cousin, to create fake invoices, embezzling over $1.5 million from investment funds provided by the Vance Maritime Group. This money was wired to Miss Monroe's personal accounts and used to finance a lavish lifestyle. Abigail looked directly into the camera. As the legal representative of the primary investor, I am formally pressing charges against Michael Hayes and Jessica Monroe for felony embezzlement, fraud, slander, and defamation. All evidence was delivered to the D.A. office this morning. As she finished, the ballroom doors swung open. A team of police officers, led by a stern-looking detective, marched in. They walked directly to Michael and Jessica. Michael Hayes, Jessica Monroe, you are under arrest on suspicion of fraud and embezzlement. Please come with us. The sharp click of handcuffs echoed through the room. Michael's legs gave out, and he collapsed. He stared at the silver cuffs on his wrists, then at Abigail on the stage, looking powerful and untouchable. He wanted to beg, but his throat was dry. Jessica was wailing hysterically. I won't go. I'm injured. I'm the victim. Michael, help me. Abigail, please, forgive me. No one pitied them. The camera flashes were relentless, capturing the most humiliating moment of their lives. Abigail quietly left the stage, leaving justice to run its course. Jacob walked beside her. You did it, Abigail. An absolute victory. Abigail smiled, but a weariness was visible in her eyes. Why does this victory feel so bitter? Let's go, Jacob. I want to get some shrimp and grits. Suddenly, I'm starving. As Abigail ate, she was just Abigail again, a woman who had just shed an immense burden. But she didn't know that in a dark corner of the city, one person was watching the live stream on a shattered phone screen. Brenda Hayes, Michael's mother. She had just arrived from out of town to confront her daughter-in-law and demand money. Seeing her son handcuffed and her useless daughter-in-law revealed as a queen, Brenda clutched her chest and collapsed from a heart attack right there at the bus station. And in another place, a mysterious man sat in a Maybach, watching Abigail through the window of the diner. He tapped his fingers on the steering wheel, a smirk on his lips. Abigail Vance, he murmured. You're even more interesting than I thought. The game is just beginning. The diner was tucked away on a quiet Charleston street. Abigail took a comforting bite of creamy grits. She sat alone, her elegant black suit looking slightly out of place amongst the simple tables and chairs. But she didn't mind. This was a spot she and Michael used to frequent as broke college students. The food tasted the same, but the people had changed. A napkin? A well-manicured hand, a glimmering luxury watch at the wrist, offered her a folded linen napkin. Abigail looked up. The mysterious man from the Maybach was standing before her. He was tall and broad-shouldered, dressed in a sharp navy suit, his handsome face defined by deep, captivating eyes. "Thank you, but I have one," she said politely, taking a paper napkin from the dispenser. The man wasn't offended. He pulled up a chair and sat opposite her. "Excuse me, ma'am," he called to the waitress. "I'll have the shrimp and grits, extra shrimp." The waitress smiled. "Well, look who it is. David. We haven't seen you in ages. You back from overseas?" "Just got back yesterday, Beth. Had a craving I couldn't ignore." Abigail was surprised. This man oozed upper-class sophistication, yet he was a regular here. "Abigail Vance," he said, turning his attention to her. "The heiress of the Vance Maritime Group, the Iron Lady who shook up the entire state this afternoon. I never expected to find you here, eating grits all by yourself." She put down her fork, her eyes wary. "You know who I am. Who in this city doesn't?" "Not after that legendary live stream," he chuckled. "I'm David Sterling." "A pleasure." David Sterling. The name was familiar. Chairman of Sterling Developments, the biggest real estate rival to her family's company. They called him the Wolf of Wall Street South. "Mr. Sterling," Abigail said coolly, "are you here to mock your competition, or to strike while my company is in turmoil?" David leaned forward, his gaze intense. "On the contrary, I'm here to admire. I always thought the Vance daughter was just a pampered socialite. But the way you handled your ex-husband and his mistress today, it was impressive. Clean, ruthless, my kind of style." "Your kind of style?" Abigail raised an eyebrow. "Not for amusement, for partnership." He produced a gold-plated business card. "I heard Vance Maritime is looking to expand into luxury resorts on Hilton Head. I own the best parcel of land there. You have the capital, I have the property. Why don't we join forces instead of fighting?" Abigail looked from the card to the man. His eyes held no deceit, only the proud challenge of a powerful man seeking an equal. "I'll think about it," she said, taking the card. "But for now, Mr. Sterling, I'd like to finish my meal in peace." David laughed, a rich, genuine sound. "Of course, but I have a feeling we'll be seeing each other again very soon. And next time, I won't let you dine alone." He stood, left a $100 bill on the table, and walked out. Abigail watched him go, a strange feeling stirring within her. While Abigail was enjoying her meal, Michael was tasting his first in a prison cell. A guard shoved him into a cramped, foul-smelling room with a dozen heavily tattooed inmates. The head of the cell block, a bald man with an eagle tattooed on his chest, sneered. "What are you in for?" Michael stammered, afraid to tell the truth. I was framed by my wife." "Framed my ass," another inmate yelled. "We saw you on TV. You're that CEO who cheated on his wife, scammed her, and then got slapped around by your fake pregnant girlfriend on live television, right?" The cell boss's face darkened. In the criminal world, two types of men were despised above all others: child molesters and men who beat women. "So you're that kind of scum," the boss said, standing up. "Outside, you're a big shot, huh? Think you can treat women like dirt?" No, it wasn't like that." Smack! A hard slap sent Michael sprawling to the filthy floor. "You know the rule in here?" The boss growled. "I hate cowards who hit women. My old lady is at home raising my kids, waiting for me. I'd die for her. You bite the hand that feeds you. Boys," he called to the others, "teach him a lesson about how to be a man. Just don't kill him. The paperwork is a nightmare." The cell filled with the sounds of muffled thuds and Michael's desperate screams. "Mom, help me. Abigail, save me. I was wrong." He curled into a ball, his life of luxury and respect gone forever, replaced by the brutal reality of a hell he had built for himself. In the women's block, Jessica's fate was no better. She was immediately welcomed with a bucket of dirty mop water. Her designer clothes were replaced with a coarse prison uniform. Forced to scrub toilets with her bare hands, the beautiful, manipulative secretary was now just another inmate, her past life of glamour a distant memory. She hated Abigail, she hated Michael, but most of all, she hated the fact that this was only the beginning of her long road to atonement. A disheveled woman was wailing outside the Vance Maritime Group headquarters, Brenda Hayes. Seeing her son arrested had driven her mad. She threw herself in front of Abigail's arriving Rolls-Royce. "You witch! Give me back my son! Give me back my house!" Abigail stepped out, cold and composed. "Ma'am, you should go home. You ruined him! He just made a little mistake! You have to withdraw the charges!" Brenda screamed, trying to claw at her, but the security guards held her back. Abigail laughed, a bitter sound. "A little mistake? Do you know that for the past 3 years, the house you live in, the money you spent on lottery tickets, even the money to pay off your son's massive gambling debts in Atlantic City, it all came from me?" She threw a stack of papers at the woman's feet. "Here, $300,000 in debt to loan sharks. They have your address. If you don't pay them, they'll pay you a visit." Brenda's face turned white. She collapsed, begging, "Abigail, daughter, please help him. I'll be your slave." "I am no longer your daughter-in-law," Abigail said, her voice devoid of emotion. "Legally, I have no obligation to pay the debts of a stranger. Sell your land, sell your house. That is the price you pay for your greed and for raising a monster." She turned and walked into the building, leaving the old woman's sobs behind. That evening, Abigail met David Sterling for dinner. He had booked a private yacht. She arrived in a stunning, backless crimson gown. "You look more beautiful than I imagined," David said, pulling out her chair. "Let's get to business, Mr. Sterling," she replied coolly. "Patience," he smiled, pouring her wine. "I want to partner with you, not just because of the Hilton Head project, but because I see we are the same, lonely at the top, tired of the lies. I'm not like your foolish ex-husband. I know the value of a rare gem. Are you hitting on me?" "What if I am?" he said, his eyes locking with hers. "A woman like you deserves a man who can stand beside her, not behind her." Her heart, long frozen, skipped a beat, but just then her phone rang. It was Jacob. "Abigail, big problem." His voice was frantic. "What is it?" "Michael. He escaped from the prison hospital." "What?" Abigail shot to her feet, knocking over her wine glass. "He was being treated for broken ribs after a fight. He got away, and an informant says he's trying to buy a weapon, and he's heading for the marina." Abigail looked out at the dark water. The marina was exactly where their yacht was docked. A chill ran down her spine. "He's coming for me." Before she could finish her thought, a massive explosion rocked the back of the yacht. Smoke billowed into the night sky. From the chaos, a figure emerged, brandishing a large kitchen knife, his eyes wild. "Abigail, if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me." It was Michael, a cornered beast, ready for his final, desperate act. David moved in a flash, pulling Abigail behind him. His playful demeanor vanished, replaced by cold steel. "I'll handle this." The explosion threw the yacht into chaos. As panicked guests scrambled for lifeboats, Michael charged through them, his eyes locked on his target. Just as he lunged, David met his attack. In a blur of motion, David disarmed him with brutal efficiency, a powerful punch doubling Michael over, a leg sweep sending him crashing to the deck. David pinned him, his knee pressed hard into Michael's back. "You picked the wrong person to mess with, you piece of trash," David growled. Abigail noticed a slash on David's arm, bleeding through his white shirt. He had taken the blow meant for her. "David, you're hurt!" He just smiled. "A scratch. A small price to pay to keep a rabid dog away from you." Police boats swarmed the yacht, and Michael was apprehended once more. This time, there would be no escape. As they dragged him away, he screamed, "Abigail, I was wrong. Please, forgive me. Don't let me die in prison." Abigail looked at him, her eyes as cold as the sea. "You won't die, Michael. You will live a long, long time to pay for every tear I shed and every dollar you stole. Prison is where you belong." The trial was swift. With the mountain of evidence, Michael was sentenced to 25 years for embezzlement, assault, attempted murder, and a litany of other charges. Jessica received 7 years as an accomplice. Brenda Hayes lost her home to the loan sharks and was last seen living in a shack, scorned by her entire town. Abigail's reputation, however, soared. Her decisive handling of the crisis made her a business icon. The Vance Maritime Group stock shot to an all-time high. 6 months later, she stood beside David Sterling at a press conference, announcing a historic billion-dollar joint venture to build a luxury resort. They were the ultimate power couple, their handshake sealing a new empire. That night, on a moonlit beach, David didn't offer her a ring. He handed her a key. "This is for the main villa at the new resort. It's yours." Abigail was speechless. "I know you've been hurt," he said softly. "I know you need time. I'm not asking you to marry me. I'm just telling you that I'm here. This house is here, and I'm willing to wait. Let me earn the right to be with you." Abigail looked at the key, then into his sincere eyes. The walls around her heart began to crumble. She smiled, a genuine, radiant smile. "You certainly know how to make an investment, Mr. Sterling. All right, you have my permission to try, but be warned, my standards are very high now." "I love a challenge," he replied, taking her hand. A year later, a letter arrived at her office from prison. It was from Michael. He wrote of his regret, of learning a trade, of the hell he had created for himself. He asked for nothing, only for her to know he was sorry. Abigail read the letter, then calmly lit it on fire, watching the ashes of her past drift away. Her future was waiting for her outside, where David stood with a bouquet of flowers, ready to take her to lunch. The phoenix had not only risen from the ashes, she had soared into a new sky, stronger, brighter, and finally, truly free.